right, welcome back to Shave for Fuzzy. I'm Fuzzy. Hi, y'all. On a Monday, made it through the weekend. It is now Monday, and it's supposed to be my short week, but here lately that doesn't work out, and I'm not really complaining about it. So anyway, it's cooling off around here. It's been cool for several days, and it's going to get cooler towards the weekend. Now, you people that live in really cold weather, I've said this before. What we call cool weather, y'all call, short sleeves and shorts, probably. But it's supposed to be down in the lower 20s, maybe even the upper teens here Friday night. And that's a big deal in this part of the world. Trust me. That is a big deal. It's in the 40s, 50s. And this morning when I went out early and walked the dogs, I had to go to work till 3 today, but of course they got to have their walk. Not as early as they're used to, but they got an early walk. So anyway, it was trying to rain. And I tell people all the time, I love cold, wet, rainy weather. Now again, I'm smart enough to know that maybe if I live somewhere where that's what you got majority of the time, then it might not be that good. It's just like eating MREs. I like to keep MREs around. I'll eat every once in a while just to do it. I keep them around for emergency or whatever. If I was in the Army or the military of some kind and I had to eat them all the time, I probably wouldn't like them. I'd probably think they were the worst thing on the planet. As it is, they're not so bad. So, at least I understand. So it's Monday, so it's going to be Micromatic Monday, and I always use a genuine Micromatic, not the clog proof. Well, no, the clog proof is a Micromatic. So is the bullet tip. So I can't say that I always use the genuine, because I don't always use. But this is a Micromatic. The clog proof is the clog proof, and the flying wing is a flying wing. Bullet tip or guiding eye. It is not, needed to say the open comb Micromatic. I'm making fun of a few people, and they know who they are and why I'm doing it. But anyway, all Micromatics are open comb. Hold that thought just 1 second. I'm going to walk right around the corner here. So my heater in the apartment is still out. The fan blows, as you could hear. That's what I had going on. My air intake, I may have explained this before, but Fuzzy's kind of I get things done usually. So the air intake for the central air and heat in this apartment, and it's not a real big apartment, it's a 1-bedroom apartment, is in the kitchen. Well, since the air intake is in the kitchen, I can turn the stove on and open the door, and I can heat the kitchen, because it's small, not hard to heat, and then use that like an air box and turn the fan on and blow the warm air around the apartment. Also, these apartments were built back in the 1960s at some point. Early mid-60s is what I've been told. And but somewhere along the way, I don't know if they insulated them very well then, but somewhere along the way, it got insulated good. I'm in a center apartment downstairs, so I got apartments all around me. And maybe it helps if they run their heat, I don't know, but I don't have to use a lot of heat in this place. And that's good because I'm cheap. We're going to use some Seal Bigalow, which is rebranded Parazzo, as we all know. Get that in the mall there at the whatever the store is. I never can remember the name of, but it's a nice nice stuff. All right, so it's eucalyptus oil and it's menthol too, right? Am I right about that? Anyway, I'm using it like it's got menthol in it because it's menthol money. I'm pretty sure this one's got the menthol and the eucalyptus. And anyway it goes. That's what I'm doing today. So, deal with it or something like that. So I got me some coffee, and I'm gonna be straight up and honest. It's instant coffee today. It's the good stuff. It's the instant Cafe Bustelo. So I went to plug the coffee pot up before I got in the shower. When I went back a little while ago to get me a cup of coffee, it hadn't plugged. I guess I didn't have it plugged in good at the base, although I thought I did. But anyway, it went. There wasn't any coffee ready, and I needed to go ahead and do a video because I gotta, still gotta take the dogs out and do all the stuff I do before I go to work. And so anyway, I fixed me up a cup of the Cafe Bustelo, compliments of my sister, who sent me a great big stash of it. I still got a bunch of it. I don't drink a lot of instant coffee, but I do sometimes. Also, I broke out a synthetic brush today. Let's just do things a little bit different. Synthetic brush, instant coffee, and I put a little sweetener in it. I put a little bit of Sweet and Low in there just for truth of advertising. So a synthetic brush, a little sweetener in the coffee, and we're going to use a stainless steel blade. No need to soak a synthetic brush. That's even worse than wearing suspenders and a belt. At least if you do that, you can say, "Oh, I was holding my belt up with my suspenders." I don't know what you'd say about it. Well, it warms the brush up. Yeah, but the warm water as you're using it, it's going to be warm too. So I don't think on a synthetic brush, soaking it does any good at all. This particular synthetic brush, I cannot remember the brand name that was on it. I know it's surprising I can't remember something, huh? But it came from Sally's Beauty Supply here local. And it's, it's synthetic. They do what synthetics do. Some people really like the synthetics. I don't. I can make them work. And especially when you start using them like a paintbrush, they'll work. Get the job done, I guess, but it just ain't the same. Who knows? All right, so I've never been the biggest fan, as I say a million times, of a brand new stainless blade. They're always kind of harsh, but this one's going to do okay in the Matic. We're going to make it work. So yeah, I got some colder, wetter weather. And right up to the point to where it gets ice on the interstate. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I don't script anything when I do videos. I don't even usually have a general idea of what I'm going to talk about. I just ramble. Kind of ain't like folks are here with us and we're sitting here having coffee and we'll talk. But anyway, right up to the point to where there's ice on the roads. I like it. I don't want ice on the road to hurt anybody. I don't want anybody getting hurt. But I like cold, wet, nasty weather. I understand why people don't. Me, it brings back memories. Duck. Man, hold on. What happens when you take a breath at the wrong time. But it brings back memories of duck hunting and deer hunting and stuff back home. Almost falling out of tree stands. Everybody's got a falling out of tree stand story that deer hunts. I was climbing up in a box stand one time, what we called a hotel stand. And belonged to a friend of my mom. That's a friend of mine too, friend of family. Anyway, he had a field. Can't remember how many acres was back there, but it was a big field. And he put this big box stand up. It was big enough you could sit 3 people across, and it was deep and it's covered. And you could take your little portable gas heater up in there and you could keep it warm. And during football season, you could take you didn't have to have the digital converter boxes you have to have now. You could watch TV just on a regular antenna. So they had the little TVs with the 6-inch screens or whatever, run off a car battery. So we put a car battery at the base of this stand, and you could sit there and watch football on the, you got 3 local stations. It's 4 cable and stuff. And so kind of, we used to, if you can't hunt out of a moving vehicle, but if you parked it and turned it off, it becomes a stand, right? So we'd be sitting in a old truck or whatever and have the ball game on. And so anyway, it reminds me of those days. So I was climbing up a stand up in the side, and when you got up even with it, I reached up and opened the door, and there was a flying squirrel staring me in the face. I didn't know that's what it was at the time. And he rushed me to get out of that stand, and I just about let go and fell out. I kept enough of my wits about me to not fall out of the stand. And luckily I did things the safe way, and I didn't have my rifle in one hand monkeying up. You had a rope that hang down from all the stands. If you ever wondered what that rope was for, you tie it around your rifle. When you get up in the stand, you pull your rifle up to you. That way you're not trying to climb up. Keep it unloaded and all that kind of good stuff. My dad was very big on gun safety, so I started out on that early, which everybody should. It would solve a lot of problems. And anyways, I got up in the stand. I don't remember anything else about that hunt that day. But I might have woke up and seen something to shoot at. That's a true story, by the way. I've killed more deer waking up and looking around, and there'd be deer standing. First deer I killed was that way, as a matter of fact. First one I killed, 1985, I think it was. Used to have a clearer memory. I think it was 1985, and it was day before Christmas. It was snowing in Mississippi, icy and snowing, cold. I got set up by an old tree stump and I dozed off. Granddad told me where to go. And I was out there and I dozed off. I woke up, there were deer. So I shot one. Twice, I think, or more. I was shooting a shotgun and had buckshot and slugs, and I don't remember how I had them alternated. That's way too long ago. But anyway, brought a deer home. My brother carried her out for me with a doe. Yes, the legal doe. You can legally kill those at times. Oh, but anyway, waking up, I woke up and killed squirrels, and woke up and killed deer. Because you get, I guess, good and quiet, and they don't mind the snoring, apparently. Woke up and caught fish. Woke up a lot more time with the pole sitting there slapping around with a fish on it. That's the whole point of going fishing most of the time, is to go out and get away from everything. Don't usually care for catching any fish. Matter of fact, I've heard the old saying, heard people say they won't even put bait on sometimes because they don't want the fish to disturb their sleep. Don't know that I've ever not put bait on purpose, but I have been known to not really care whether there was bait on there after a while. Because fish will interrupt your sleep. Then you got to clean the things. So look at there, beautiful shave from a Matic. And the CO Bigalow, which is rebranded Terrazzo Green. Synthetic brush, which, as you saw, does fine. I think one of the things with a synthetic brush that I really try to do is use more paintbrush strokes than circular strokes. That's one hint I would give if you're trying to use a synthetic brush. I mean, they have their place when you're traveling. They dry quicker, so you don't have to worry about them mildewing much and all that kind of good stuff. You know. Some people like them because you're not having to harvest them from animals. I'm not so worried about that personally. Sorry. You know, they rinse out pretty easy. There you go. That's what we're doing for today. We're fixing to get dressed and take dogs out and do all that kind of good stuff. And then I finally got that pot of coffee going, so it's going to go in a thermos, and I'll have that at work tonight, which is not a bad thing at all. All right, well, if you're cold, stay warm. If it's warm, stay cold. If you're wet, stay dry. If it's dry, I hope you get a little rain so things grow. I probably didn't cover everything, but it's good enough for today. Oh, yeah, and what we're going to use for aftershave is going to be the Aqua Velva Musk, something else I haven't used in a while. I need to get me another bottle of it. This stuff is actually really good stuff. Now, is it as good as the regular Aqua Velva Blue, Ice Blue? I don't know about all that. You know, that's part of my signature shave and one of my favorites. I don't know if it's, you know, it's definitely not better, but it's definitely good. All right, well, y'all have a good one. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, happy shaves to you.